Welcome, students. This is Mr. Thorson, and this is Intermediate Math 2, which is my A2, A3, and B4 classes. Today, we're going to go over the Pythagorean Theorem and talk also about its converse. So just before third term ended, we talked about Pythagorean's Theorem being given a right triangle. Now remember, a right triangle means one of the angles is 90 degrees. The two sides that form the 90-degree angle are called legs. And the longest side, which is the side that isn't forming the right angle, is called the hypotenuse. Oftentimes, we will label them A, B, and C. And what we learned, again, from last term, is that if you were to construct a square on each of the sides of the right triangle, and you were to take the length of the sides, which means that the area of the square would be 4 times 4 for this bottom side. If its length was 4, would be an area of 16. The area of this square on the left, which if the side length of the triangle was 3, the area of the square would be 3 times 3, which is 9. Those two areas added together, the 9 plus the 16, would be the area of the larger square, which is an area of 25. And if we square root 25, we get a side length of 5. Now, don't be concerned about the 0.01. There's a little bit of rounding there because we're using a computer program. As you notice, if I was to actually extend this side out and make this side longer, what happens is I get different lengths, 6.3, which if I square it, it's 39.71. 4.73, which again, if I square it, I get 22.34. So I found the area of these two smaller squares, added those together, would equal 62.05, which then square rooted would give you 7.88. Again, hopefully, if I can go out here far enough, I can eventually find a one that's basically integers, but again, they don't have to be. Almost got it here. There we go. Again, if this bottom side was 8, this area would be 64. If this left side was 6, this area would be 36. This area out here of the larger square would be 100, and you square root that, and we get 10. Again, that is the Pythagorean Theorem, which enables us to find a missing side. If I did not know the hypotenuse, if I covered it up, I could just square each of the two sides, square the 6, square the 8, add them together, and square root, and find out that it's 10. Likewise, let's say I didn't know the 8. I could square the 10, square the 6, subtract 36 from 100 and get 64, square root the 64 and get 8. So the converse of Pythagorean's theorem, which is the new lesson for today, basically states if you have a triangle and you want to know if it's a right triangle, this theorem must hold. In other words, you take the two shorter sides and you square them and add them together. It needs to equal the longer side squared in order for it to be a right triangle. Let's show you what I would like you to be doing in today's iExcel lesson. Under the 8th grade tab, under Pythagorean's Theorem, which is section R, you should have already done 1, 2, and 4. If you have not done them, you need to go do them. Once you have those completed, we're going to assign 5 today, which is the converse of Pythagorean's Theorem. So again, what that's going to have you do is it's going to give you 3 lengths of a triangle. It wants you to tell me or the program if it is a right triangle or not. Easiest way to do this is to load up a calculator, take the two smaller sides, the 7 and the 17, square them and add them together. So I'm going to go 7 squared. I'm going to add that to 17 squared, and I get a total of 338. So 7 squared plus 17 squared is 338. 20 squared needs to be that in order for it to be a right triangle. So I go 20 squared, and that's not 338. This is not a right triangle. So you would click no and hit submit. Okay, let's do one more just to see. Again, I'm going to load up my calculator. I'm going to do 7 squared, which is 49. I'm going to add that to 8 squared, which is 64. 49 and 64 add to 113. I need to see if 11 squared is 113. which some of you already know it isn't. 11 squared is 121. So again, this is not a right triangle. Here we have 8, 15, and 17. I just want to show you one that does work. I'm hoping this one does work, so I'm going to clear this. 8 squared is 64. Added to 15 squared is 225, or is 289 when you add the two together. 17 squared, by the way, is 289. So that one is a right triangle. So if you have any questions, you can contact me via Zoom, the open class during designated times, or you can email me.